NASCAR unveils the layout for the race at Naval Base Coronado. Rajah Caruth, he's headed the Xfinity Series at least part-time in 2026. It took 36 seconds for safety crews to reach A.J. Allmendinger. Why did it take that long? Plus, what got left behind at Talladega this past weekend? Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. When it comes to the NASCAR lawsuit, there's nothing new to report, but this is going to be a pretty big week for that. The teams and NASCAR are meeting today with a mediator with Judge Kenneth Bell to see if there's any sort of common ground on a settlement. Don't expect any announcement or even a settlement announcement to come out of today, but maybe laying the groundwork to see if there's anything that can be done here. On Thursday, they had the hearing for the summary judgments. Expect to hear some more there. On Tuesday, the drivers did put out a statement basically, urging NASCAR, the teams, to kind of keep the drivers in mind here and don't do anything that's going to harm the drivers, their potential earning, or anything that the sport, and also remember the fans through all of this as well. But we're going to start off with NASCAR unveiling the layout for their street race at Naval Base Coronado, which will happen in June of next year. 16 turns, 3.4 miles. It's a long one. It is going to be one heck of a course. It is going to be one heck of a pace lap and a caution lap as well. Let's take a quick tour of this racetrack, though, because NASCAR is kind enough to put out a fly-through video for everybody to take a look at. So, like I said, 16 turns, 3.2 miles. As you can see, as we're swooping in right here, we're going to start off on the front stretch. You've got pit road on the right-hand side of the track, obviously the track on the left, and then you have covered grandstand seatings. You have the hospitality trailers like they had in Chicago, if anybody was there for that. You got grandstand seating behind pit road as well. A sweeping right-hander to start off the lap down, which is about 5 lanes right here, down into a tight left-hand corner onto a 4-lane road. If you can sit in that grandstand right there, probably going to see some carnage, probably going to see some action. Then you got a crossover bridge into another tight left-hand corner, another 90, seating on the left, seating on the right, hospitality on the left right here as well, a sweeping right-hander into turn 5, which will be aircraft carrier corner. Well, obviously, every NASCAR photographer is going to want to have a shot of their car with that in the backdrop because that is one of the coolest backdrops you're ever going to see in NASCAR. Then you got a long straightaway here where you can maybe throw a Hail Mary if you're Justin Herbert getting down into this corner. Sorry, I know Chargers fans, I'm sorry about that. Tight right-hander into a sweeping left-hander. And if you look out to the right side of the car here, you can see the Pacific Ocean. Again, visually great. Then you have this 180-degree left-hand corner, hospitality on the right, seating on the left, hangars, another tight area right there in that right-hander, seating on the left and right through the chicane section, another crossover bridge, and you got helicopters back there. You got F-25s, F-35s, F-15s. I have no idea what planes those are. Into this left-hander, a lot of ample runoff space, an odd-looking hospitality area, into another left-hand corner with the loneliest-looking grandstand on the circuit. I'm sure there's going to be like one concession stand there. Then you've got another chicane right here with runoff area, which means we're probably going to have to talk about track limits at some point next year, but that's the nature of the beast when it's NASCAR on a road course. Then getting back down into the front stretch complex, you got hospitality, you got grandstand, you got a sweeping left-hander back out onto the front stretch here to complete a lap at Naval Base Coronado. Now, as we fly around here, you'll be able to see some other aircraft being set out, but NASCAR is going to stage all of the haulers for all 3 series behind that front stretch grandstand, behind pit road right here, which if you're a crew member, or if you went to Chicago, you know how much all the crew members are going to appreciate the fact that their haulers are going to be right there behind pit road, because in Chicago, yeah, it was a hike. I mean, you're talking about 3/4 of a mile to a mile in some situations to get back to where the haulers were from pit road. Not the most accessible thing in the area. If you needed a part during practice, you were going to have to run over the crossover bridge, then back through all the fan zones, then get to your hauler, and then do all that back over again. You will not have that issue here. Really good planning on their part. Now, a couple other things. They have a fan area there to the left, Fan Fest Midway area, obviously showing off some aircraft, obviously going to have, race-specific merch, driver merch, everything is going to be in that section, a lot like what Chicago had, and I really enjoyed Chicago's as well. So yeah, that's going to be a pretty decent setup there. As we continue to zoom out though, couple things that I noticed here. All of these blue lines that you see, especially on the left-hand side of the screen at the bottom and at the top, I believe that is going to be where they are parking people at. They're going to need a lot of parking. Obviously, that looks to be on the apron of the tarmac around where, planes, helicopters, everything else kind of sits and stages at. So that makes a lot of sense that they're going to park everybody there. I'm curious to see how much freedom civilians have at this circuit, because it's not going to be like Chicago where you're going to be able to freely walk around. I do believe that orange road that you kind of see that outline around the perimeter on the left-hand side of the screen there, I think that is going to be a shuttle area for you to take you from the front stretch area to that backstretch chicane area where there's a lot of hospitality and grandstand seating at as well. I think that's maybe what all of that is going to be. But regardless, it's an interesting layout. It's a long layout. It's a hefty layout. I'm curious to see how all of it's going to play out. I'm excited to potentially get out there next year as well. Only thing I'm nervous about still is just how you're going to get all of these people onto Naval Base Coronado, onto Coronado in itself. It is not the most easily accessible place in the world, especially not with this many fans coming in as well. There's a lot more seating than I expected there to be as well. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. Just want to see how it's going to race now. Junior Motorsports announced on Tuesday that two-time NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series winner Rajah Caruth will be moving over to JRM on a part-time basis, driving the number 88 car in 2026, sponsored by HendrickCars.com, of course, which means we're probably going to see two HendrickCars.com cars on the track, which, it doesn't matter. We've already seen that happen in the Xfinity Series, or the Truck Series, rather, multiple times this season, but will still be something to get used to in 2026. For Rajah, yeah, you jump at an opportunity like this. Phenomenal opportunity for him. Why? Because Junior Motorsports does nothing but win. All we do is win. Just win, baby, win. In the words of Al Davis, yeah, that's exactly what they do over there. I mean, just look at what they've done this year. Everybody's won except for Carson Kvapil, but he's gotten close a couple of times, and maybe he can close it out this weekend at Martinsville or even the weekend after at Phoenix. But for now, Rajah Caruth is going to join that team in that number 88 car. He's made 22 Xfinity Series starts in his career. His best finish is 12th, actually twice, in the fall Martinsville race, 2022, 2023. He's run 3 Xfinity races this year, 2 for Jordan Anderson Racing, 1 for Hendrick Motorsports in that 17 HendrickCars.com car at Kansas a couple weeks ago. And overall, Rajah Caruth is definitely one of the more interesting prospects out there. He started later in life than most people, but he's gone on to win 2 Truck Series races with Spire Motorsports. He's currently sitting second in the point standings, headed into the penultimate race of the season this weekend at Martinsville. If he can advance on, he's going to race for a championship in Phoenix in 2 weeks' time, which would be absolutely phenomenal for him. So for Rajah, I wouldn't expect to see him in the Truck Series next year. Definitely not on a full-time basis, maybe doing a couple part-time things here or there. I fully expect all of his focus to be on the Xfinity Series, probably piecing together another ride to fill in the races where he won't be in that 88 car, potentially with another Chevy team that's currently in the Xfinity Series based on some things that we've heard. So overall, I like this opportunity for Rajah. Obviously, if you're in the Chevy pipeline, racing at JRM is where you want to be at because, like I said before, they do nothing but win races. Now, JRM also announced on Tuesday that the 9 car will return in 2026 as well, with Ross Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen both back behind the wheel once again. We'll see if they add in some other drivers for those races, that they fill it out any other ways. We're still waiting on hearing what the other driver or drivers of the 88 car will be as well. So they'll have 2 drivers going for a championship next year, that being Sammy Smith in the 8 car as well as Justin Allgaier in the 7 car. The 1 car and the 88 car will both be full-time cars, just with rotating cast of drivers. The 1 with Connor Zilic as well as Carson Kvapil, the 88 with Rajah Caruth and potentially other drivers as well. So overall, Junior Motorsports, once again, probably going to be a threat in 2026. On Sunday at Talladega, in the big wreck that happened with Noah Gragson, Eric Jones, AJ Allmendinger took a pretty good blow in that number 16 car for Kaulig Racing, and he was able to drive it, got close to pit road entrance before the car stopped on track. He got out of the car and then was laying on the asphalt right next to the car on track, and they showed it on the broadcast, and it felt like it took forever for the safety workers to get there. Well, Seth Eggert posted a video where it took 36 seconds from the time that AJ Allmendinger put down his window net before the safety workers got to him for them to reach him. And that's just unacceptable, especially at a track like Talladega where hits are really big. And yeah, I know he drove away from where the crash was actually at, but from the point where safety workers are dispatched, he really wasn't that far away. And ultimately, the response time wasn't great. And then once they did get out of the car and were walking over to AJ, they just trundled on over there. I thought at one point they were going to poke him with a stick to see if he was even alive. It's like they got dispatched from Birmingham and they were just really annoyed that they even had to go do this. The response time there was just unacceptable. And as one person on Instagram so eloquently said to me, quit being a whiny bitch about this. It's not that big of a deal. It is kind of a big deal. Like if a driver's hurt, like it was here where he's just laying on the ground. Now, thankfully he is okay. Just kind of seemingly got the wind knocked out of him and inhaled a lot of smoke. You would like to have your response time be a little bit quicker than that. Well, AJ's just a drama queen. He still is laying on the ground and people still didn't respond to him in a very quick manner, which is not acceptable when it comes down to it. I mean, he laid there so long, people walked by and were taking photos. I mean, 36 seconds is a long time. It's long enough for Patrick Mahomes to march down the field and win a Super Bowl with the help from the refs. In basketball, 36 seconds is basically like 22 real world minutes there as well. It's about like 5 times as long as Rick Pitino needs to, finish his business, according to court documents that lady put out there, which is unfortunate for him. But regardless, 36 seconds is a pretty long time before somebody finally did reach him. So hopefully that gets corrected. Hopefully there's a little bit of urgency shown next time something like this happens. Every year after the NASCAR races at Talladega in both the spring and the fall, the admin for the Talladega social media accounts walks around the infield and walks around the campgrounds to see what fans left behind this time. It's become a very fun series, so let's look at what got left behind from the fall race at Talladega this past weekend. We're going to start off with the classic, a couch. There's no easier way to get rid of a couch than to take it to Talladega or live in Morgantown, West Virginia. You can light it on fire. Everybody knows getting rid of a couch is hard, and if you got one to get rid of, well, just take it to Talladega because, well, you can leave it in the infield there and now it becomes somebody else's problem. This wasn't the only couch. You can see a blue couch behind him. There was also another portion of a leather couch that got left. Overall, this got a nice floral design. I'm still not willing to sit on it, though. One thing that people did apparently sit on, and I've got a lot of questions around this one, is the senior citizen sit and spin. I have more questions than I do concerns about this, but my concerns are high. One thing I do want to see is this thing in action, though, just to see exactly what people were doing on it. Then we move over to this lovely lady or man. We don't actually know here. They are face down. I believe Two Live Crew had a song about this. Face down. Well, you can finish out the rest of it. Face down into a pile of beer cans. The Hawaiian skirt in Alabama threw me for a bit of a loop here, but hopefully her husband or his wife, husband, girlfriend, whatever, comes back to pick them up. You never want to see somebody get left behind. Then we've got couch cushions here, or outdoor cushions. They do appear to be a pretty good size. Me, as a tall person, looked at these and went, oh man, that's pretty good depth on those. I think that might fit me pretty well. Obviously, not going to take them. 1, because they're in Alabama. 2, I'm in Cincinnati. 3, I don't know where they've been, and I'm not really willing to sit down on it. But again, if you need to get rid of something, just leave it in the campground here. Somebody just left their Blackstone, because I know the Benihana in the Talladega campgrounds hits harder than anything you've ever had in your entire life. I just have a feeling too that like Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue got used in some sort of Benihana on this grill this past weekend, but in typical Japanese fashion, you take off your shoes, you put them up before you eat your meal. This nacho cheese tray right here, this is like when you and your buddies are walking by, like, I'll give you $10 if you taste this. Absolutely no way am I putting my finger in there and tasting that cheese. You drink the water in Mexico, you taste this cheese, the outcome is the exact same for both of them. I'm not doing it. It's a great way to get sick, but the trash can's right there. I don't understand. Why can't we just put it in the trash can? What in the Bohemian Grove is this? Did we sacrifice somebody in the Talladega campground because of this? There's a chair sitting in the middle of a fire. Now, the chair's not burned, so it makes me feel like we didn't sacrifice somebody, but if we did, who did we sacrifice? Why did we sacrifice them? And ultimately, what was the reason for all of this happening? As the Talladega admin mentioned, yeah, I think they were really upset about the Tennessee game, so they just went ahead and left their TV there for somebody else to dispose of after the weekend. One thing I know about putting American cheese slices onto something and letting it sit in the sun, it's going to take a while for those to come off. And for this mannequin right here, at least they're not going to be accused of indecent exposure, but it's going to be a while to get those cheese slices off. Speaking of exposure, though, Whiskey Myers, great exposure for all of them. So this is a pretty tame edition of what was left behind at Talladega in 2025. There's also a pair of shoes that got left behind, to which I have also been guilty of that. Daytona 500 2024. I had not anticipated staying the extra day to Monday to watch this race. On Tuesday morning, I had a very early morning flight out of Orlando because I had driven down in a rental car, left the rental car in Orlando, flew back on a Frontier flight. Never done that before. Not sure if I ever will again, but my carry-on wasn't going to allow me to carry 2 sets of shoes on with it. Nike Killshot 2s, they're just sitting in a Daytona parking lot after that event. So somebody got a decent pair of shoes out of them. They were very worn at that point. But yeah, I've been there. I've encountered some of the problems that these people have. So let me know in the comments what you think about the layout for the race at Naval Base Coronado, what you thought about Rajah Caruth headed to JRM in the Xfinity Series on a part-time schedule next year. Did the safety response team have a good response time, a bad response time for AJ Allmendinger at Talladega, and what was left behind at Talladega this past race? Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHardBlog.